Hello and welcome to the show. And this time it's all about electric bikes.
Yes, we have been on a little road trip, all three of us on electric bikes.
That's right. There's loads of people out there reviewing electric bikes, but they all seem to focus on range and the crazy acceleration.
Now, we didn't want to do any of that. We just wanted to go on a little trip with our friends, but they weren't available, so we went with each other. Many, many moons ago, when we were discussing what we wanted to do in this season, pretty much close to the top of our list was to go on a road trip with electric motorbikes. Now, we didn't want to test range anxiety like many others. We just wanted to see what they were like to live with on a kind of normal day-to-day basis over the course of a weekend trip. Now, we don't have too many things arranged. We're starting at the English Electric Motorcycle Company. We've got something we need to do this afternoon, an Airbnb this evening, and something tomorrow. But otherwise, apparently it's down to us to organise the rest of it. But most importantly, we need to introduce you to our bikes.
Right folks, when it comes to electric, there is no competition. Energica is the way to go. Energica are the one who make the bikes for Moto E, which is basically the electric MotoGP. They've got a bike, a street bike version of their sports bike, which is called the Ego. Think Fireblade with an electric engine in it, and that is what this, the Energica Rebelle RS, is based on. RS, not just the standard. That means rather than 2.8 seconds 0 to 60, this thing will do it in 2.6. Turn it up to 11. We're looking at a 21.5 kilowatt battery, which means you will get a fast charge from 20 to 80% in around about 40 minutes if you use the fast DC charging. If you plug it in, I think you're looking at around about 6 hours, something like that, 5 or 6 hours. It costs £26,500 from £26,500, and with that you will get, I think the luggage here is extra, I think the screen is extra, so for 26.5 grand you get the bog standard bike. There's no competition, this is the one to go.
I'm not going to go into quite so much detail as my learned colleague just did, other than to say this is the Harley-Davidson Livewire, 105 horsepower, 0 to 100% charging time in an hour, and they claimed minimum range of 160 kilometers or 100 miles, but we're going to see actually how that pans out in real life. But the reason I've chose it is because I loved it so much when I was riding with Charlie in the first episode. I just wanted to get some more time on it.
I'll bore you with the spec on this bike a bit later, but as I am a complete newbie to the electric bike world, I chose Zero. They are mainstream for bikes in the electric market. I've gone for the SRS, basically because she is fully fitted and super sexy, and her range is about 161 miles. So I'm really excited to test that theory out. And as you can see, she is so pretty, I just can't wait to ride her.
Quick discussion on logistics for the rest of the day. Now, our location for this afternoon is about 80 miles away, and we have to be there on time at 2 o'clock. Black and white, 2 o'clock. If we're not, I'm going to be annoyed because I put a lot of time and effort into getting this sorted out. You'll find out later.
What's he got planned now?
You'll find out later.
Probably off-road.
Yeah. I had hoped to go and do something else this afternoon and go somewhere on the way, but it takes us east before we need to go west, and it's about, that would take us 140 miles-ish, rather than 80 miles west. And that would mean we would need to do at least one charge on the way.
Yeah.
So we're using this app called ZapMap to look at our charging points. I think we're going to have to just go straight towards the afternoon location, do the 80 miles, but we're still going to have to stop and charge on the way. Mm-hmm. Now, I've not used ZapMap before. Bruce, you have.
Yep.
So just looking at the map, it looks like there's loads of places to stop, but I bet it's not that simple, is it?
You'd be surprised, there are so many charging stations around the UK, but ZapMap will show everything, so it'll show like the 3-pin plug ones, AC charging.
Right.
AC charging is the one that takes forever. You want the fast DC charge. We're all equipped with fast DC charging, so that's the ones we need to find. You can refine your search on the app
Okay.
In fact, there's more intricacies in the app which we don't need to get into. But we need to look for the fast DC charging, and we need to look for 3 because there's 3 of us.
Of course.
That could be a limiting factor.
Oh, yeah.
Most places will have at least 1, but trying to find 2 or more, which is where the sort of restrictions of riding electric in a group, this is what's going to be interesting for us to find out.
Especially if we're in a timed situation and we have to get to your secret location at 2 p.m. and I'm just clocking the time now, realistically, we are going to have to get 3 ports or we're not going to make it back in time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So we need to find 3 or give ourselves time if we can find 2 to charge up the other bike.
Extra.
Start looking for 3 then.
Yeah.
After a lot of searching, one of the things that we are finding out slowly is that the supermarkets seem to have more charging points, and that's our big thing. We need to have 3 charging points, otherwise it's going to take us double the time at each stop. So we're heading for the Tesco Superstore in Bedford because they've got 4 charging points, which apparently are all available 4 days ago. That doesn't really help us that much right now.
In real time?
Yeah, real time would help. But 4 charging points, I think, gives us the best possibility of getting us all charged at the same time. And they're the right type of point as well.
Fantastic. Let's go to Bedford then.
Lovely job. Fireman's roll.
And off we go.
Off we go. So this is you popping your electric cherry, isn't it, Christy?
It is, and I got to be honest, I'm just quite surprised at how quick I have got out of normal bike mode, if that's the right thing to say.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even looking to hook it up a gear. I'm just riding, and I genuinely thought it was going to be a while before I stopped. You know, flicking the foot up. I'm still thinking about the clutch a little bit, but not as much as I thought. I'm pleasantly surprised that I'm missing the sound though. I'm not gonna lie.
I love these things. I always think that I'm like on one of those scout bikes in Return of the Jedi.
So I've dropped from having sort of 25 miles in hand to having 17 miles in hand. Learning point there. The range doesn't always exactly equal the distance you can cover, which may of course be down to the fast roads we're riding on, or the fact that I'm bigger than the average bear. You know, there's a lot of me to push along.
Well, people, we are currently looking at about 46% battery, and we have got 16 miles to go. We've done 57, almost 60 miles. And I was sat at about 97% charge when I started. Had a quick chat with Christy and Graham there when we stopped at a lay-by, and they're pretty much the same. So all bikes are fairly comparable really on what we've done there. We've been sat on sort of motorway and big dual carriageway, just sat at 70. If you nudge over 70, certainly over like 73, 74, you start seeing a massive drain on the battery. But at like 70 and below, it's not bad at all actually. It's certainly, the slower you go, the more economic, the more miles you're going to be able to eke out of your battery.
Weirdly, despite my completely unnecessary range anxiety, it's telling me 19 miles range. I'm just arriving at the Superstore where the charging points are. And if I remember my maths correctly, I had 100-mile range and 80 miles to ride. So within within 1 mile, that's actually been absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Right folks, first issue with the electric. We have found the charge station and there were 3 spaces available for us at the time. However, although this is DC, it's not the fast DC, so this is limited. This is like a 7 kilowatt charge rate, whatever it is, which means This is going to take about 3.5 hours to get to 100% rather than the 40 minutes that it would be on a fast charge. The live wire is going to be similar as well. So bear in mind we've got time constraints. That's the
45 minutes,
yeah.
and it's 15 minutes away.
I think the best option is going to be use the app, find a fast DC charge, and just give yours a quick 20-minute scoosh. Then we can go and do whatever you've got lined up, and then after that we can give them a full charge somewhere.
That makes sense.
Right, so
Yep.
have a little look on this.
my phone's dead, so we're going to have to use yours.
Right, okay, so from here,
Not that I can read it without my glasses anyway.
there we go, Toby Carvery, there's one available right now, so we can go there.
That's a
have look.
fast charger, is it?
It's a fast charger. Do you have a lead? What is this? Toby Carvery. That's the point, you don't have the lead with you, do you? So
No.
we need to find a tethered one. Let me have a look and see if that's tethered. BP Pulse, that'll be tethered, right, okay. So let's go to that one. It is 0.7 miles away, 4 minutes.
Right,
Okay, we'll go there, give that a quick scoosh, and then we can
sorted.
do this mystery thing you have lined up. It's a plan, ish. Realities of electric ownership, really. There's a lovely swanky new charge station here in Bedford with 14 odd fast DC chargers, and not a single one works. So we're on the hunt to see what we can find. Apparently we found another one about 0.7 miles away. They're everywhere, folks. Charging stations are everywhere, but they're not maintained, and it's hit and miss as to whether or not they'll work when you get there.
Go. Right, yes, accept. Tap the card.
Gold one as well.
Yep. Card is verified. Card
Welcome.
accepted. 50. That's the one we're after. We did this last time. Took it out before it was.
It tells you connect to your vehicle.
Is it? Okay.
Get it in there.
We'd already done that last time.
Just get it in there. I was so aggressive then, wasn't I? Just get it in. What time have we got to be where we're
So
supposed
last
to be?
time, did it say connect to your vehicle?
Yeah, it did,
Yeah. What time we got to be here, G?
I'm trying to remember the phrase about great plans and contingency. The first great plan to go to Tesco's, wrong kind of charging points, point learned. Found the right kind of charging points, and you think a purpose-built charging car park with 1, 2, 3, 4 of these super duper fast chargers, none of the work. Either there's an error when you plug it in, or it's not accepting our cards. BP Pulse, sort your shit out. In all honesty, I really wanted to like riding these bikes, and you know what? In terms of just the pure riding, I really do. They are fantastic, a lot of fun. But this is a really good example of where it goes wrong. You can actually be pretty fucked. Now, we need to be somewhere 5 minutes ago, which is 10 miles away, and I've got a 20-mile range, and this is we're now into our third place to try and find a charge. Now, in fairness, I could find a charge, but it's a slow charge, which isn't going to get me to where I need to go to. So despite actually I thought some fairly thorough planning and looking ahead and checking where we need to go to, a combination of not going to the right type of charging point first time round, yeah, tick that, I'll accept that's my fault. But second time round, 4 charging points not working for different reasons, every single one for a different reason. One, there was an error on the hand plug, one wouldn't accept a card, one the screen didn't work, and I can't remember what the other one was. You're just making me so angry! I was just talking to my camera on the helmet about I really wanted to love the whole experience of electric bikes, and the riding bit is perfect, which I kind of expected. It is this charging issue, and if you've got, even with trying to look ahead and plan ahead, looking on the app, the first one we got wrong, that was on me because I didn't know enough about the types of charging places. But to go to a major car park that's got 4 charging spots and none of them are working, we come here, somebody's already bagged it, so we're facing one of the actual challenges of using electric bikes in the real world. If it doesn't go right, it can really go wrong, especially when you've got somewhere you meant to be 10 minutes ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th time lucky.
Oh,
Through the doodah.
oh look
Oh,
at that.
that's the first time I've seen the doodahs.
And the computer says,
Tick, tick, tick.
this is everything it did for me.
Tick.
Safety check. It's clicking.
Yay!
Nice. Right,
7th
can
time
breathe.
lucky. Right. So the suggestion was that actually we'll give it an hour here, or 3, get all the bikes charged up, and then we can get the accommodation tonight and do the thing we were going to do today and do it tomorrow.
Sounds good to me.
That's the plan, yeah.
Wish I'd thought of that. Electric issue 8,653,000. 2 bays. For me, maybe I'm just being thick, but 2 bays suggest you can, that's 2 positions. You should be able to charge 2 vehicles up. Is that me being daft? You can't. You can only charge off of 1 at a time. I think I'm being converted. I was a full-on electric convert. I thought, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's bollocks. Utter bollocks. We're not ready for it. Don't do it.
The type of person I am, this would just seriously stress me out if I just could not. This is, for me, this is like a massive negative. Like, I could not be dealing with the stress of, I'm all right if I know that we're going somewhere and there's a charging point and it works, or nobody's there and we get it done, fine. But it's when they don't work, let's find somewhere else, and it's that, which is like,
It's all very well and good when you have to stand around for an hour waiting for the bikes to charge when you're with your friends, but if you were doing this to people who didn't like you, it would be a nightmare.
Hiya! Follow my lead. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Come on, B. Hey, Macarena. Nice. We'll just breathe in, exhale out, and tree pose. Ow! Oh my god, he outposed me!
As we're standing here, twiddling our thumbs, doing interesting stuff, I've asked Bruce to give us the technical lowdown on exactly how all the technology works with the electric motor and the bike.
Yeah, no worries. Bit of experience with bikes now, you know, like 3 odd years I've been testing these electric ones. So pay some attention here, there will be a test. What happens, you put the key in, turn the key, there's no noise because it's electric, keep up. And when you're ready to go, you turn this thing here, this rubbery thing, on this, it looks like a bar, and it's called a bar, funnily enough. Magic happens, and the bike goes vroom. Well, it goes vroom vroom without the vroom. There you go, you're welcome.
Right, folks, now that whole debacle about recharging is over and done with, I've got to say, the second I started riding this again, the whole recharge thing's forgotten about, and I love them again. It's just, I love the sensation of riding these electric bikes. Great fun. But that all said, the practicalities of recharge, we're just not there yet. The infrastructure is not there yet. Never been an issue before, but today we're a nightmare. We've done 50 miles so far. That's it. And it's now 5:20. Yes. I still think you can tour on these. I think you're going to have to plan it. You're going to have to be a bit more strict with your logistics. And you're going to have to build in a fair bit of resilience for those just in cases. Like today, 14 charging stations in one hit, and none of them worked. That's ridiculous.
will come back to that a little bit later, and you can see if and when we were able to charge our bikes.
Now, as this is a fully electric episode, and we didn't want to focus purely on expensive high-end electric bikes, it's over to Charley Boorman, who's going to talk about some more affordable options.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, Charley Boorman here, and I'm surrounded by electric motorcycles. I think you'll probably know that one over there, which is the Harley Livewire, which you and I took up through South America. A little bit modified, the one that we use from that one. But I'm surrounded by a bunch of different ones. Over there, I've got the Electric Motion Pure, which is a trials bike. We've got the Cakes here, and we've got this sort of road bike, which is a Pure Sang, which is a Spanish make. So I think for this, we're going to sort of have a look around and see what these bikes can do. This Cake is, I suppose, a little bit in between a motocross bike and a downhill mountain bike, and great for green laning, kind of off the road. So if you're up in the Surrey Hills, would be superb for the green laning. And yeah, so we're just going to have a look at them and see which one does what. I think people are afraid of change. People don't like change. And I think with this electric of it all, people don't quite understand that technology. People focus on, well, you know, a Tesla will only do 300-mile range. And, you know, I could never live with that. And you sort of say, well, actually, when do you ever do 300 miles in a day? I mean, it's very rare. And so a bit like, I suppose, when the horse and cart was there and the cars first came along, people were afraid of them. You leave your house with a full tank of petrol and you go into town and you'd be stressing whether or not you can get there on a full tank of gas. And then you'd be stressing whether or not you could find petrol in town, because back in the day, you could only buy petrol in a pharmacy and it wasn't always available. So I think that crossover between horse and cart and car, you know, they had the same problems. And then slowly infrastructure came along and now you can just get petrol anywhere. And I think the same thing is going to happen with the electric of it all. People just have to accept it, embrace it. So we're not going to take the Livewire out today because Graham is going to do a test ride on that quite soon. But what we are going to do, we're going to concentrate on these two bikes. And what's interesting about these two bikes is that both of them are classed as a 125. So you can stick an L plate on them and off you go. But both of them do completely different things. So this one is much more sort of off-roady and green laney, and you can do all sorts of stuff. If you have a field, you can get out there and do some jumps, and you can do whatever you want. Whereas this one is much more road-based. So we're going to check them out and see what they both do, because not everybody wants a dirt bike and not everybody wants a road bike. So let's see how they perform. Well, okay, so we're having a look at the Cake. Now the battery itself is, as I said, 2.6 kilowatt. You can go 0 to 80, you can charge it in about 2 hours, or to 100% takes 3 hours. You can interchange the batteries as well. So you can swap them out. So if you're doing an enduro or something like that, a 3-hour hare and hound, you can come in, swap the battery, and out you go again. So and that's what they want to do next, is give it a go on that. So it'd be interesting to see. You can get much more aggressive tires if you want to. Yeah, and that's about it. She's strange looking. Kind of got to get used to it. I quite like it, I have to say. Yeah, so let's see what it rides like. There's a guy called Stefan Yetterborn. Now, please forgive me if I've said your name wrong. He originally started a company called POC, or POC, helmets. And so I suppose that's where the cake comes from. There's a little label somewhere with a little slice out of a cake. And I think it does around 50 miles an hour. It'll do around 48, 50 miles, depending on how you ride it. And the design of this, I think he came from an off-road background. So the bike is very much in the idea of riding off-road on green lanes. It's a little bit of a cross between a motocross bike and a downhill mountain bike. And it's designed to be ridden quite hard off-road. And it feels quite nice. You can get right up close to the seat to get a good position, get into those corners. And it's nice. That's it's for fires. They fill it with water. So if there's a forest fire or something, they can collect the water. You want to do this now? Woo! Right. Woo! I tell you what, this bike is a lot of fun. I mean, it handles really well. It's thin, it's light. You can get up through little tracks. I mean, I would love to. I haven't quite found the right track yet up around here, but it's out there, and I'm going to find it with this little bike. It actually works incredibly well. It's very confidence inspiring. I think, you know, if you're going to have the upgrade and have the Öhlins, I think it definitely makes a difference. It makes a difference when you're pushing it a little bit harder. You know, then that suspension, that rebound, and that, you know, it doesn't pogo you out of the seat. It keeps you really balanced. And it's fun. I mean, it's really good fun. And you could, and if with this engine, with the battery swapping, you know, you could do quite a lot. Come round, boom, swap the battery out, and off you go again. So you get a good few hours out there. Would be awesome. But I tell you what, you know, it looks a bit like a designer bike, and it looks really pretty. And someone's obviously really thought about it. But the person who's built this, you know, Sven, I take my hat off to you, because you've built a dirt bike, and it rides nice. Okay, so this is the Persang, and its heritage comes from sort of the old bikes back in 1967 when they used to race motocross bikes, and I think it was the old Bultaco, was a Bultaco Persang. Anyway, so they're kind of sort of reintroducing that whole part of it. But what's really interesting about this bike is that it's classed as a 125, so it has the front brake where it normally is and the back brake on the left, so it doesn't have a brake lever down here. It has a Bosch motor, so it's their first motorcycle attempt with Bosch, and Bosch, as we all know, are one of the class leaders for e-mountain biking or e-biking. So it can do top speed of about 68 miles an hour. I think that they limit that so that it can be a 125, so you can run L plates. It has about a 58, 60 mile range, depending. I suppose that's usually city work, and it looks kind of pretty. So interesting with this bike, this is number 14 of 24, and they're all in carbon, these ones. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when you watch the video, it's a little noisy. And the little front drive chain, or the front sprocket, I suppose, is a little noisy, and they're just about to change them all, and they're all going to go to belt drive and be much more quiet. And then Bosch have teamed up with these guys to develop an engine for motorcycles. So there's a lot going on here in this cute little bike, which you can use as a learner bike if you want to. Yeah, so it's very nice. Well, I'm liking this bike more and more. It's not anything, like with a lot of electric bikes, the acceleration and all sorts of stuff can be extraordinary. But with this one, it's a very progressive. I think it could have a little bit more poke to it, but it's a good, solid bike to ride. I've been riding for about an hour now, and it turns really nicely, stops really well. I quite like the front and back brake being on the handlebars. It reminds me of riding my wife's Vespa, there's nothing scary here. It all works really, really well. It's kind of confidence inspiring. So it's a big thumbs up, really. Wow. Well, I mean, they're kind of cool bikes, really. The Cake is really good fun to ride if you've got some green lanes and some off-road, or if you've got a bit of fire roads, or you've got a bit of whatever around. This is a great fun bike to have. You can have endless days of fun on it. And you have to remember, it's not a 125, it's not a 250, it's not a 300 KTM fuel injected two-stroke. It's an electric bike that is aiming for a specific market, and it does it really, really well. I really like it. I think the range is just enough, and you can have a lot of fun with it, and I like the look of it, and the suspension and the setup, the handling, everything works really well for me. So I like it. Thumbs up for that one. So this one is a lovely bike to ride. It's a nice road bike. It's a great first time bike, because if you've come from a scooter and you want more of a motorbike, then this is perfect. It's got no gears. The brakes are in the handlebars, exactly like it would be with the scooter. It handles really well. The brakes are really good. The whole handle of it is nice. If it was me, I would have liked a little bit more power on the accelerator, but then that's just me, because I've been riding bikes for 40 years, and always like a bit more power. But I like it. I think it handles well, and what's really nice about it, you can get your feet down easily on it. It's got a great classic riding position, like the old Bonnevilles. It's just perfect. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice bike. If I had to choose between the two, I think that one, only because you can do a lot more with it. And anything with the Öhlins is always really nice as well. Yeah, pretty cool.
Cheers, Charlie. Now, back to the road trip, where things are just starting to get interesting.
We have all been up bright and early, around about 6:30. So in the process of morning cups of tea and showers, etc. And today we have a change of plan because of the issues we had with charging yesterday. So the surprise I had for everybody yesterday, I've managed to get moved to this afternoon. But before that, I have got another surprise for everybody, which I'm sure they're going to like. I'm certainly going to like it. So we're going to be up and out by 7:30. We'll be to that lovely surprise about 8:30. and we'll see what the guys think of it. After our utter debacle of charging yesterday afternoon, last night in many respects was much simpler. So the bike actually, Livewire, has its 13 amp charging wire underneath the seat. So we just pop that into the plug in our Airbnb. Took about 6 or 7 hours to charge. So when you're thinking about planning ahead, that's another thing you've got to think about. If you've got to swap those over between the bikes, do it early enough so you're not getting up at 3 in the morning. Just planning. Always got to think ahead. And just one other thought as well. Thinking back to Tesco's yesterday, the first place where we stopped, where it wasn't a fast charger, but it was free. So if you've got an hour and you're going to go and fill your rucksack full of shopping on your bike, go and charge at Tesco's. Right, I have brought the team here to Grafham Water. Beautiful place, famous for its water sports activities, fishing, sailing, stuff you bring the kids to do on the waters. And in keeping with the electric theme of the trip, I haven't brought you here to see the local solar farm because that would just be very boring to look at. But we are keeping with 2 wheels. And this is what I brought you here to do. Electrical assist mountain bikes.
I can't even ride a bike.
You're going to love it. Come on, let's go have a look.
I bet it's not even going to be on tarmac either,
Come on.
is it?
So we have a Canyon Spectral, Cube Stereo and a white E160. They're pedal assist bikes, so they're not kind of push and go. I wanted you to try them because I know neither of you are particularly into cycling. Not that I wanted to talk to you, but I love these things. I've been riding them for a couple of years. Still ride regular mountain bikes as well, but they are such good fun. And I'm genuinely interested to see whether they will convert you, not necessarily to mountain biking, but to the cynical faces you have on at the moment.
How much are they? How much are they?
These range between 3 and 5 grand.
Scottish, never going to have one.
I can't even ride a normal push bike.
I haven't ridden a push bike in years. Obviously.
But you said yesterday you were cynical about riding the electric motorbikes, and now you're really enjoying it. So
Yeah, but I can actually ride a motorbike. I can't actually ride.
there's almost no difference apart from you have to move your legs a little bit.
I can't ride a bike. I can't even, you know.
You'll be fine.
Even the kids
You'll
don't
be
have
fine.
me on a bike.
You'll be fine.
Right, let's crack on.
Come on, let's go. Now, of course, safety first as well. I bought my cycle helmet, which obviously you've just got to wear your crash helmets. And of course, but you look really cool, don't worry. You look marvellous riding around in those.
Awesome.
All right,
It's your steed.
so don't play with any of the buttons.
Don't touch anything.
How do I go?
Hang on,
It's the first time you struggle getting your leg over, isn't it?
Right, you ready?
Ow!
Use your right toe to pull the pedal up towards you, then you can push down on it. Okay,
Where
ready?
am I going?
You ready?
No!
Go.
Ah!
Right, ready, go. It's like riding a bike.
Are you going to cup my buttocks and push
No.
me as well, Graham?
Right.
Jesus, it weighs more than me.
Look, you're loving it already, aren't you? You're standing up.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I can't
squidgy,
breathe.
Fucking hell.
Right. We'll do lesson 2 on changing gears in a second.
I thought they were supposed to assist. I'm knackered.
This is fun.
So I've been out riding, and I'm not going to say anything because I think from the introduction it's pretty clear what I feel about electric mountain biking, or electric assist mountain biking. So I want your reactions. Go on, Christy, you go first.
Well, as we all know, I'm a bit of a stickler, and I don't like change. So even the thought of like jumping on just a push bike, a normal cycle bike, is just so out of my comfort zone. But I gotta be honest, the the appeal in one of them, I'd have no interest in riding it on the road.
Yep.
Even, you know, a road environment, no, that wouldn't be for me. But certainly what we've just done, and I can just imagine how it feels on tracks and trails. Yeah, we're going to go out, aren't we?
You're a convert-ish.
Ish.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to go out.
Okay, well, I'll take that as a 1 tick. Bruce?
I don't see why you wouldn't like them, because it's, I mean, if you want to cheat, it makes cycling really easy. And if you want to really push yourself, you can't you? So I don't, apart from the price, I mean, but I know people that spend 5-10 grand on like a traditional bike, push bike. So I mean, I don't think there's a negative for it, really.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I will maybe not a full convert, but I will.
Except if you're a freak that likes cycling, then you shouldn't be allowed on the road ever.
Okay. I'll count that as a successful morning. I did just want to finish off though with coming back to electric motorbikes. So this is something that I don't know as fact. It's just rumours and stuff we hear. That some manufacturers, they're kind of playing potentially a loophole in the law where they've got to be making electric bikes much cheaper to be able to make an electric assist mountain bike, but kind of ticks the box that they're doing it. So
Ducati.
We can neither confirm nor deny the facts of this. It's just stuff that we hear than the rumour.
Yeah, they've got to have an electric model within their fleet,
Yes.
and they get around that
Yeah.
by doing the pedal cycle
Absolutely.
assist, electric assist.
Which brings us neatly back to electric bikes. I need to put these in the van and get back on the road.
Bullshit.
So, what the guys don't know is, my surprise for them is to come and see a historical collection of aircraft at Shuttleworth. Now, they may say that's a little bit boring, but they'd be wrong.
Right, we're at Kent Aviation. Time for me to reveal my big surprise. Now, this place is quite important to me because we're just the other side of the airfield from the Shuttleworth collection, which is where I filmed the first episode of Adventure Bike TV, Tiger versus Tiger, Triumph Tiger versus the Tiger Moth. And I'm really quite excited to show you this is. I'm proper kind of butterflies about this. So bear with me, I'm going to go and sort it out. Okay?
Okay.
If this is push bikes or anything to do with off-road, someone's getting knocked out. No way.
Oh my god!
That is pretty cool. Okay, I'll give him that. That's pretty cool.
I'd have to put that on. I'd have to put it on. Now this aircraft behind me is a North American T6 Texan with 600 horsepower of Pratt & Whitney engine in it. Now the nerds amongst you may look at it and go, oh, that looks very similar to the British Harvard aircraft, and you'll be absolutely right. But this is most definitely the American version. And that's what interested me so much. We've got historical, fantastic engineering behind me. And this is modern, futuristic technology, the absolute pinnacle of it. And the combination of those two was just too good to miss. I'm going to take, actually, in all seriousness, a very deeply personal moment for me. For anybody that's ever seen me doing my speaking stuff or been on Bruce's recent podcast, I got accepted into the RAF as a fighter pilot when I was 17, and then various reasons didn't make it. And then the same for the Fleet Air Arm when I was 21, got accepted to fly Harriers and aircraft carriers, and then got cancelled and couldn't get into the Navy. So ever since I was a small child, flying fighter jets was my passion. It's everything I wanted to do in my life. And that passion for aircraft, and particularly World War II aircraft, still exists. So any opportunity I get to see them, touch them, or even sit in them, just love it. Sends me into a small child excitement mode. I also enjoy almost the kind of melancholia about thinking about this aircraft was involved in the Second World War. And then you sit in it and you put your hand on the flight control stick. It's got a trigger. Just aircraft with triggers that's 70, 80 years old. Incredible. I've just had some rather fabulous news. Andy's obviously picked up on the fact that I'm just so excited just to be here, never mind everything else. And he's going to take me up in an aircraft from the Vietnam War. I get to wear a flight suit, and I might even get to be able to fly the plane. Down the way there. Is it going to be pretty?
That was really graceful.
Wow. I've got no grace whatsoever.
Do you reckon he brought those aviators with him on purpose? The old boiler suit's a bit tight, isn't it?
Oh, love him. Do you see just how excited he was?
I'm not jealous in the slightest. I don't think I'd get in that cockpit, let alone plane wouldn't take off. He's a happy soul, isn't he?
Well, bearing in mind how bad yesterday's things were and how crap it was, you couldn't get a better turnaround than that. And as you can probably tell by the grin on my face, I rather had a good time. I couldn't think of a better place to finish our weekend trip than our bikes in front of the T6 Texan. But I will come back to the reason why we did this weekend trip in the first place. It was to try and get a real world understanding of what it was like to use the electric bikes over the course of the weekend. So, Christy, what did you think?
I thought the experience was just completely and utterly bipolar for me, really. There's elements of that bike and riding that bike which are really fun and exciting and, you know, quite fantastic actually. But the biggest problem for me is the charging. I just found the whole situation, the whole experience, especially with yesterday's problems, really frustrating. And I just don't think that the infrastructure is just quite there to support it just yet. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Bruce?
Same really. Riding these by yourself, I've never had any issues charging, ever. Didn't really know what all the fuss was about because a few people have contacted me and said they've had issues. When you come out as a group ride and you've got like a set schedule which you have to stick to, it's a whole different kettle of fish, because if something goes wrong with those chargers, then it's a massive spanner in the works. Infrastructure needs a lot of work. Bikes themselves, great fun.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I loved riding the bike even more than I expected to.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they're head turners, all of them. No matter where they went, they were head turners.
Absolutely.
But like you guys, you need plan A, plan B, plan C, and even then, another contingency. Because what happens if they all go wrong and you're just stuck? Particularly when there's three of you. That was the other big one for me, the three of us. So, so next time, petrol?
Petrol and gears.
Petrol and gears.
Petrol and gears.
Freedom, petrol, yes,
Yes.
for the moment.
Freedom and petrol and gears next time.
That was quite a trip, but I really hope the charging issues we had hasn't put people off.
Yeah, I think as the infrastructure improves, the problems will then disappear. But let's be honest, whether we like it or not, it's happening.
And just as one final point, I didn't really miss that lack of noise because that acceleration just put such a huge grin on my face. Now sadly, it's time to finish. We'll be back next time with some more petrol-based antics. Until then, ride safe.
It's what else does it do? The brakes are brilliant. It's a Spanish J-John, J something. Hang on, what's it called?
That was quite a trip, but I really hope that you stop smiling at me.
I saw him go in his
You
eyes.
looked me right in the eye and kind of went,
His eyes really.
The inane grin from the presenters.
that was quite a trip, but I really hope they stop.
I'm trying to look, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, it was quite a trip. It really was.
He's such an excited little boy.
Right, I'm not looking at you two, I'm not looking at you two.
I should introduce my learned colleagues first, the loud one and the trained assassin. Okay.
Electric issue number 863, 64. 2 bays, 2 charging bays. Have a look, 2.
Sorry,
2.
this isn't YouTube, I can cut to a shot. You're alright.
So smooth as well. So smooth then.
Dynamic.
Yeah.